Have you ever looked at people like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, or maybe Richard Branson and wondered what is their secret? Like what truly separates them and others like them from the rest of us? People who might try for years, work incredibly hard, but never quite seem to hit those, well, the stratospheric heights.
Yeah, it's easy to assume it's just, some magic blend.
Yeah.
IQ, maybe raw talent.
Or a killer strategy, or just pure, unadulterated luck, right?
Yeah.
We assume it's this complex, almost unattainable mix. But our source material for this deep dive, it offers a surprising and honestly incredibly direct answer. It cuts straight to the core. The only consistent differentiator they found isn't talent or luck, it's speed.
Speed.
Simple as that.
Yeah. The source contends that most people are actually on a path to incredible success, but they're moving so slowly, they'll never reach their desired progress within their lifetime. To truly successful, though, they've mastered the art of compressing what would typically be years of progress into much, much shorter periods. And what's really interesting is that this isn't about simply working harder. That's a common misconception, right?
Yeah.
And often unsustainable. Nor does it require you to already be wealthy or have, tons of resources. The insights we're about to explore, they make this approach incredibly accessible. It allows anyone, really, to accelerate their trajectory.
Okay, so our mission today is to unpack exactly how this incredible acceleration happens. Our source outlines 7 powerful, actionable steps. Stuff designed to help you compress years of progress into months, maybe, and achieve your goals faster than you ever imagined. Ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
All right, let's jump straight into step 1. Burn the boats. This is about creating an environment of, well, unavoidable pressure, a situation where there is absolutely no out forcing you to accelerate.
No turning back.
Exactly. Our source shared this really powerful scenario. Imagine you're an entrepreneur, you've got a 5-year plan. Okay, now what if you were told you had to get that 5-year plan done in 1 year?
Ooh.
Initially, most people's confidence, say on a scale of 1 to 10, it would plummet, right down to a 2 or 3.
Sure, sounds impossible.
But then if the scenario changed to, if you don't hit that 5-year goal by the end of this year, you'd have to sell your business, lose all your money, and you could only work for someone else for the rest of your life. What happens then?
Ah, okay. Different ballgame.
Suddenly, that confidence shoots up to a 10. It transforms a should into a non-negotiable must.
Precisely. It fundamentally shifts the entire psychological framework. Goes from a nice to have to an absolute necessity. And the source goes on to detail 3 very concrete ways we can apply that principle in our own lives, even if we don't have, a business to sell.
Okay, like what?
First, force a deadline. This could be signing up for a marathon or an Ironman. You know that date is fixed. Or even pre-selling a product before you finish building it. The key is that firm external timeline.
Right, makes sense.
Second, put money on the line. Our source apparently prioritizes tasks where money has already been committed. Acts as a powerful motivator. They even suggest making like a big I owe you bet with someone if you don't hit a goal. Create that financial consequence.
Okay, upping the stakes.
And third, make an external public commitment. Announce your goal. Tell your friends, coworkers, maybe investors. This public accountability just adds another layer of pressure.
It's fascinating how those methods really tap into basic human psychology. The underlying principle our source highlights is that people are often far more motivated by avoiding the pain of loss than they are by the prospect of gain. It's just how we're wired, I guess.
Yeah, loss aversion.
So once you've truly burned the boats, there's no way out. You're not just forced to move forward. You're forced to move forward with just unprecedented velocity. It eliminates procrastination, creates this non-negotiable drive.
And that intense pressure is exactly how years of progress can get compressed.
Which brings us neatly to step 2. Step 2 is default to action, not preparation. This hits on a really common pitfall, right?
Oh, yeah. Big time.
We spend so much time preparing for action instead of just taking action. We plan, we strategize, we analyze.
And we delay. It's analysis paralysis, basically.
It really is a common trap.
Absolutely. The source has this compelling anecdote that really brings this default to action philosophy to life. It's from Walter Isaacson's book on Elon Musk.
Oh, yeah.
So after buying Twitter, Elon asks his team how long it would take to consolidate data centers. They tell him 6 months.
6 months. Oh.
Elon, convinced that was just way too long, apparently lands his plane, rents a U-Haul,
No way!
and starts pulling out server racks himself. Gets the task done in 3 days.
3 days, what everyone else said would take half a year.
Less than a week.
Yeah.
The philosophy here is powerful. The richest people make a decision and then make it right.
Yeah.
That's why you hear that motto, JFDI just. Do it so much among successful people.
Wow. That Elon example is incredible. Makes you wonder how many opportunities we all miss by just over-preparing. So, okay, what are some practical ways, maybe less extreme ways, for someone listening to actually start embodying that default to action mindset?
Right, not everyone can rent a U-Haul for server racks.
Exactly.
The source outlines 4 specific ways. First, the buy-when rule. Instead of vague commitments like later this week, always ask for specific dates and times. Thursday at 2 p.m., that specificity injects urgency.
Okay, clear deadlines. Got it.
Second, the 2-minute rule. This one's almost funny. It's so simple. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, just do it. Right then. Don't document it. Don't plan it. Just get it done.
Saves more time than planning it, probably.
Often. Yeah. Third is the 70% rule. Look, for entrepreneurs, the job description is basically making decisions with imperfect data. The source says if they have 70% of the information they need, they make a decision.
70%. Okay.
And this isn't about being reckless. It's understanding that the cost of delaying for perfect information, it almost always outweighs the cost of a bad decision you can reverse.
Prevents that analysis paralysis. Keeps the momentum going.
Exactly. Momentum is the engine of speed. And finally, type 1 versus type 2 decisions.
Okay, what's that?
Type 1 decisions are like one-way doors. Big stuff. Buying a company, major strategic pivots, those require slowing down, careful consideration. But type 2 decisions, they're like a revolving door. You can go in and you can come right back out if needed.
Like what, for example?
Hiring is a great example. Most people treat hiring like this huge, long-term, scary commitment.
Yeah, it feels like it.
But really, it's a monthly cost. And if it turns out to be a bad hire, well, they could be transitioned off. It's reversible.
That's a huge mindset shift.
Yeah.
Especially seeing hiring as a type 2 decision. It really reframes how you approach your day-to-day.
Totally. So when you look at the decisions you're facing in your own life, maybe your business, ask yourself, how many are really type 1 and how many are actually type 2?
Recognizing that distinction could drastically change your speed.
Definitely.
Okay, so once you start taking action more readily, you need ways to improve quickly, right? Get better faster. This brings us to step 3. Model, then modify. Tony Robbins has that great quote, right? Success leaves clues.
Classic. And true.
If you want to move fast, you pretty much have to model people who are already successful at what you want to do.
Yeah, and the source explains this beautifully with the concept of stealing like an artist.
Stealing like an artist.
It doesn't mean blindly copying. It's about taking the essence of what others are doing, their principles, their underlying framework, and then making it your own. You adapt it, fit it to your unique market, your product, your own story, your personality.
So it's about understanding the why behind their success, not just the what.
Exactly. And then applying that why to your what.
So how do you actually go about finding these models, these blueprints? Where do you look?
Well, the source has a really practical approach. Every time they start something new, they ask, who do I know that's already done this? And they focus on successful, ethical leaders, people they admire.
So not just anyone who's made money.
Right. For instance, when starting a coaching business, they apparently sought out coaches making 8 figures a year ethically, people doing it the right way. They got their playbooks, understood their models, then made them their own. And because of that, they could execute faster than almost anyone else in the industry.
That makes a lot of sense. And what's truly fascinating now, I think, is that even if you're stuck or maybe don't feel comfortable reaching out directly, you have these incredible resources just available. AI tools like ChatGPT, they've indexed so much of the world's information.
True. You can get vast blueprints for free sometimes.
Which means the challenge then, as always, really comes down to execution. Having the blueprint isn't enough.
Never is. Which leads nicely into the next step.
Right.
Step 4. Fire bullets, then cannons. This one kind of challenges that common idea that the fastest way to succeed is to go for the biggest win right away.
Yeah. Swing for the fences immediately.
But the reality, the source argues, is that most people just aren't ready for that. They gave a great example. Like, if someone showed up at your door right now with a $100 million purchase order for whatever you're selling, you'd probably just crumble, right?
Yeah, I think I probably would. Panic stations.
It's almost comical to imagine we aren't built for that huge leap instantly.
It is. And this strategy, bullets then cannons, it's derived from Jim Collins' book, Great by Choice. His philosophy is basically shoot, 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 calibrate. Once you get shots on goal, then load up the cannon with more resources, more money, more people.
So small tests first.
Exactly. If you go for the cannon first, you risk coming out too fast, too strong, maybe in the wrong direction. You burn through time and resources before you've even figured out if the business model works.
Okay, so it's about de-risking, but also gaining speed through validated learning. Precisely. You learn faster with smaller bets.
So what does that look like in practice? The source mentioned their buddy Matt, who developed an AI-powered dashboard called Precision.
Right.
Most people with an idea like that, they'd immediately think, okay, hire a ton of engineers, spend $10 million, build this amazing new thing.
A go big or go home approach.
Yeah. But Matt didn't do that. Instead, he built one very specific use case, just one feature, basically. Then he pre-sold it to 50 customers to validate the demand, the concept,
Right.
got them using it, loving it, giving feedback. And only then did he invest more money in the engineering to expand what the product could do.
That's firing bullets. He validated before loading the cannon. And what's kind of counterintuitive here is the insight that winners lose more than losers will.
How so?
Because they're constantly testing assumptions. They're firing lots of bullets, and not all bullets hit the target.
Yeah.
When you build a business, you have to assume you're wrong about some aspect of the model.
Oh.
So you create what the source calls a riskiest assumptions list. Prioritize it based on what could kill the business fastest if you're wrong, and then you attack the riskiest one first. Validate it or invalidate it quickly.
So those small shots, those bullets, that's how you eventually figure out where to aim the cannon for rapid progress.
That's the idea. Test small, learn fast, then scale big.
Now, all this action, all this progress, if you're not careful, it can actually lead to another huge problem, overcomplication.
Ah, yes, the complexity creep.
Exactly. Which brings us to step 5. Simplify your business. The truth is, making things complex, that's actually easy. Everyone on your team has a good idea, right? A suggestion, some feedback.
Always, and often with good intentions.
Totally. But the problem is if you say yes to every single one of those suggestions, you wake up one day and you've got chaos. Chaotic SOPs, quality issues maybe,
Yeah.
confused teams, nobody getting any real work done because they're navigating the complexity.
Get buried under the load.
Yeah. The core belief here is simple but profound. You cannot scale chaos. So true. You need simplicity to move fast and grow effectively. So what are the complexity killers our source recommends? How do you keep things super simple and maintain that speed?
Okay, let's hear them.
First, simplify your goals. Most people, most businesses, have way too many things they want to do, just too much on the plate. Instead, pick the one thing. Gary Keller's idea, right? The leading domino that, if you knock it down, makes everything else easier or even unnecessary.
Focus.
Laser focus. Second, simplify your decisions. Reduce decision fatigue. Pre-decide routine stuff. The source mentioned wearing the same colored shirt every day, like Steve Jobs or Zuckerberg, just to save brain cells on what to wear. Less mental energy wasted.
Right. Eliminate trivial choices.
Third, simplify your workflows. If you do something repeatedly, say every week, automate it. Use tools, create systems, so you never have to do the same manual task twice.
Automation is key. Fourth, simplify your commitments. Design your calendar with a rhythm of success. Stuff you don't have to revisit every time. Like if date night is every Thursday, lock it in. Don't make that decision fresh every single week. Protect your core commitments.
Creates structure, saves bandwidth.
And finally, regular pruning. This one's crucial. Understand that things will evolve and become complex over time. It's natural. So you have to deliberately, proactively prune that complexity from your calendar, from your business processes. Like weeding a garden, it needs constant attention.
Okay, that regular pruning sounds like the hardest part, honestly. It's so easy to add things, but deliberately taking things away, that requires real discipline.
It absolutely does. It's definitely a continuous process, not a one-time fix.
But these complexity killers, it strikes me they don't just apply to business. You could apply this to your personal life, too.
Oh, absolutely. Simplify everywhere. It drastically reduces decision fatigue, creates more flow, and yes, ultimately more speed in whatever you're trying to achieve.
All right, moving on to step 6. Get obsessed with your progress. Our source shared a pretty personal confession here, talking about being all in on AI language models and robotics, even though it apparently kind of annoys his wife sometimes.
Huh. Relatable for anyone who gets deep into something.
Yeah. He says that for you to really win, to do things that very few others have done, it requires intense focus, real intensity. And here's the funny part, he says. If you're doing it right, other people will probably be telling you you're way too much.
That really hits home. The implication is pretty clear. You probably can't be truly world-class at everything simultaneously. You know, world-class friend, husband, entrepreneur, dad. all at the exact same time. It's tough, maybe impossible.
So it requires choices.
Yeah, it requires choosing a season of, no, maybe, a season of obsession, going all in on your chosen focus for a period. It's about prioritizing and accepting trade-offs.
I know what he means. I've definitely had times where I've gone deep on a new topic, just devouring every article, podcast, book I can find.
Down the rabbit hole.
Totally. And my friends are probably like, where did he go? It's like this temporary, intense tunnel vision.
So how do you really lean into this obsession productively? The source offers 3 key ways.
Okay.
First, immerse yourself. Think of it like drinking from the fire holes or standing right under a waterfall. You want to absorb as much as possible, as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Total immersion.
Soak it all in.
Second, hang around with other obsessed people. Our source mentioned he curates this weekly AI expert roundtable, gets top people in the world together. Why? To get feedback, learn faster, because he knows he can't possibly consume all the information alone.
Leverage collective obsession.
Right. And third, maybe the most important, don't just learn tactics, learn how they think. Prioritize understanding the principles, the frameworks behind people's decisions, rather than just copying short-term tactics that can become obsolete really quickly.
Principles over tactics. That's deep.
It is, and it's fascinating, as the source pointed out, that the very word calling, C-A-L-L-I-N-G, it has all in right there in the middle.
Whoa, never noticed that.
Kind of suggests that this level of commitment, this obsession, is almost a core ingredient to finding and pursuing what truly matters to you, and in turn, achieving that incredible speed.
That's cool. Okay, now for our 7th and final step. Go find bigger problems. If you really want to compress decades into years, the source argues, you're going to have to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
A growth zone.
Exactly. Life, the source says, it's just like a video game. Every time you level up, go to a new level. You have to be okay with sucking again for a while to get better.
Right. You're a beginner at the new level.
What got you here will not get you there, that old saying.
So true. And this step really emphasizes calibrating based on the size of the problems you're tackling. Think about it. Small problems often indicate, well, a small life, maybe a small business. Bigger problems, they tend to signify a bigger life, bigger impact.
So it's about the kind of problems you have.
Yeah. Do you want oil change problems or do you want jet fuel problems? The encouragement is to always be pursuing bigger problems, because bigger problems inherently demand bigger solutions, more innovation, and therefore bigger growth, faster growth.
This reminds me of that local maxima concept from math, often used in optimization, business strategy too.
Explain that a bit.
Imagine you're at the peak of your current success, your current mountaintop. It feels great, right? You're at the top.
Right.
But the challenge is recognizing that there might be an even taller mountain, a bigger opportunity, a bigger problem to solve just beyond. But to reach that next higher peak, you often have to be willing to go down first. Descend through a valley of discomfort, maybe unfamiliarity, before you can climb again.
Ah, okay. The willingness to go back to go up.
Exactly. It's crucial for unlocking that truly accelerated growth.
Yeah.
You might be at the peak of your current stage, but maybe not where you could possibly be.
So you have to actively seek bigger challenges, bigger problems,
Mm-hmm.
and even be grateful for them maybe, because they force you to keep growing, keep moving on your journey.
Yeah, it's a mindset shift. Don't avoid problems, seek bigger ones.
And this leads directly to a really powerful call to action from the source.
Mm-hmm.
Reset your vision and simply go bigger.
Mm-hmm.
They literally encourage you to add a 0 to your current goals.
Mm-hmm.
If your goal is X, make it 10X. And then ask yourself, why not me? Why not you?
Adding a 0, that's bold.
It is. But think about it. Over the next 10 or 25 years, you're going to wake up every day anyway. You're going to build something. The only real difference in the ultimate size of the thing you build is the decision you make today about what you want to build, about how big you're aiming.
So if you aim for $1 million business in 10 years, you'll probably make decisions that lead you there.
Right.
But if you aim for a $10 million business or $100 million, you'll just make a different series of decisions every single day to try and reach that goal.
Exactly. Your actions follow your vision.
It's a profound thought, really. The biggest constraint is almost always the one we place on ourselves, our own vision. Wow, what an incredible deep dive into these 7 steps. It's truly mind-blowing when you think about what's possible. Applying these principles to accelerate your progress, achieve goals, it's just an unprecedented speed.
It really is powerful stuff. And, as the source wisely reminds us, it's more than just achieving the goals faster. It's also about learning how to actually enjoy the journey along the way. That speed shouldn't necessarily mean frantic misery.
That's a great point, enjoying the ride. So as you go forward thinking about these steps, here's a final provocative thought for you to consider, something from the source material. If you ever have the chance to get to the top, it's your responsibility to send the elevator back down. How might you apply that wisdom as you move forward with your own accelerated progress? And who might you bring along with you on that faster elevator? Something to think about.